Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, folks. It's V, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live on this edition of Rogue News ESW with my main man, Cowboy, who's working the airwaves, making this sure this broadcast coming out crispy and clean. You know what I mean? Check us out, roguenews.com. Follow us on Twitter at ESW Rogue News, ESW Rogue News, and you can find us everywhere you want us to be. And soon our podcasting things will be live again on Apple and Google. And we will have our new app out soon. I'm excited about that, and a lot of cool other projects.
Tell
And
about
with that,
tell them about the free ALGO link in the description too.
the free algo link.
Yeah, we're giving away free ALGO. Just go in the description. If you go to a link in that description, you copy that link or just click it. Give us a real name, fake name. We don't care. Give us your email, and we'll send you immediately a free algorithm to trade.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, it's more for testing. You're not really supposed to trade it, but you can kind of see how algorithms work, how they're built, and go from there.
There you go. And with that being said, folks, Cowboy, there's lots going on, lots we can talk about. But I want to frame something here, Cowboy. I want to frame something.
Like a photo?
Kind of like that, a picture, to make it very clear to the people that are listening, put things in proper perspective. Maybe you're a new listener to Rogue and you've been propagandized. You've been propagandized into this idea, this Marvel Comics created idea of good versus evil, and we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. And when you spend some time on Rogue, you realize geopolitics, there are no good guys and bad guys. There are only interests. There are only interests. And that's something you oh yeah. Hey, man, SIC unit, stop giving away my OF, man. Oh my god. He just posted my OF.
Yeah, well, I mean, you should want that out there. You know, seeing a big old hairy
banana hammer.
I've got a video. Let me see if I can find the video from your OF. But you go ahead and talk about the framing in the meantime there.
Yes, absolutely. The framing is important, guys. The framing is important. Look, there's a lot of things that are happening. There's some good green shoots that I see that are occurring here in the United States that I'm happy about. And there are other things. Look, our foreign policy is still fragged. I'm thankful we haven't been in a new war, but or escalated a war. But this kowtowing and worshiping, this a country in the Middle East where they're beyond reproach, and as the president of the United States quoted, they're the greatest country ever, probably in existence or ever was, maybe even the United States, but I don't know, maybe they're even better than us. That's we have to break free of this programming, and I don't know. I heard there's some rumors that people are actually developing a documentary that destroys the mythology surrounding World War II. And it's important that you understand that a lot of the mythology that we have about us, a lot of the propagandized bullshit, has to do with the whole World War II mythos, right? And then everything from there is a carefully curated, carefully constructed worldview that was hoisted up upon Americans by the mainstream media, by Hollywood, carefully engineered to paint us as the good guys, and we are the democracy and freedom crowd. So our propaganda is better than anybody else's, and it's lasted this long. Now that's coming apart because we've hit the wall, because you could only run this unipolar world reserve currency nonsense for so long before it hits the wall and it starts coming apart. And now that it's coming apart, instead of, bringing out the truth that all of us already know, they are still catering to the normies to, bilk the system as long as it can go. But there is now an understanding, folks. I want you to understand this. There's an understanding among the inner recesses of the American elites, within the higher echelons of the American power structure. The party's over. And now we're looking for a controlled crash, right? A controlled crash. And I'm not talking about a catastrophic crash. I'm talking about a controlled crash. Somewhere where instead of hitting the mountain where we all die, we land this bird in a rice paddy. Yeah, there's going to be some old people that are going to drop dead. Yeah, they're going to be the weak and infirm that are going to be affected the most. There's going to be some suffering. But overall, we'll come out of it and reorganize ourselves and join the multipolar world. That is the hope here. Now, one of the things I want to dispel is this constant drum beating, which does not play into reality. And a lot of people play this whole simpleton good guy versus bad guy thing because, let's be honest here, geopolitics is a complicated thing. Most American politicians and think tankers suck at it. So I don't expect the American public to know anything about it. Geopolitics is very, very complicated. It has multiple layers. It requires learning. It requires reading. It requires real research. It requires real testing. It requires real world experience. Lucky for you guys, I'm somebody who brings that. I have many clients of mine that are on the other side of the world. I have many clients of mine that are in the Chi-Com-infested communist dictatorship that is known as China, where people live, where if you fly there, everything is gray, with gray buildings, and everybody's wearing gray Mao Zedong outfits, walking around, working in sweatshops 24 hours a day, as they work diligently to steal American technology. That's right. As they're undermining us and enslaving the world under their communist dictums. They're so powerful in their brainwashing that even the educated countries in Africa are choosing them over us because they've been duped. Oh, yeah. So we're going to dispel a lot of that. There it is. What city is this, bro? Is it Shenzhen?
Yes, sir.
There you go, Shenzhen.
It's a communist hellhole. Everybody's broke. There's nothing to buy. Everything is made just very cheaply. The technology is so terrible, and everybody has to stay home, and they're all worshiping pictures of their fearless leader.
Yes.
There's no art. There's no culture. Everybody's broke with
those aren't real Porsches, guys, and real sports cars. Those are just Chinese knockoff.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's what it is. They copy everything, you know.
Yes, they steal our technology. Let's talk a little bit about that.
This infrastructure is very important. I want people to cue in on this. The largest city that we have in the United States is Manhattan. Okay, is New York City. New York City would be, in terms of size, the 15th largest city in China. New York has a population of a little over 8 million people. New York City would not even be considered a tier 3 city in China. A tier 1 city in China with all this incredible infrastructure has about 32 to 34 million people. It's not even close. That's number one. Number two, you see all this infrastructure. Understand this. I'm going to break it down as simply as I can for people to understand if you're a first-time listener here. You cannot be communist and build like this. Do you see this? You cannot be communist and have real commerce. You cannot be communist and have a real middle class with expendable income. You cannot be communist where Lamborghini's biggest sales are in China. You cannot be communist where there's more female billionaires in China than anywhere else in the world. You cannot be communist when this country cracks more millionaires and billionaires per week than anywhere else in the world. You cannot be communist. So what is this? And this is what the Western brain fails to understand, because when CNN gives you an image, they never show you this. And there's several cities in China where you see infrastructure like this. Clean, safe, well-built. And you're gonna have like the talking shills who are paid by various interests, right? And you got to understand, folks, this is something. China is its own animal. They're communist by name only, but they're their own animal. They're socialist by name only. They amalgamated so many aspects of various other systems that they've figured out throughout the entirety of their existence, and they realize what works, what doesn't. And we're seeing what works.
No, I've got proof that it doesn't work. Have you seen China's subways?
Yeah, incredible.
They're filthy. Look at this terrible subway. Hold on, check this out.
Yeah,
check this out.
Look, this is terrible. Look at this disgusting.
This terrible Chinese subway. Look at it.
Oh wait, that's here.
That's New York. Oh, my bad.
I know what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's New York. It's not China.
Hey, little bullet holes, It's,
Yeah. Right. Let's go back to. I don't even want to look at this.
If you saw what a Chinese subway station look like, you'll freak out. And here's another kicker for you guys. A lot of people like, you see a lot of Chinese. Oh, the Chinese people, they're godless, they're materialistic, they're all obsessed with money and material, blah blah blah. That's not true at all. I haven't met a single Chinese person that's like that. Period. I'm gonna tell you something else that's gonna blow your mind away. Oh my God! Look at this subway station. And I'm not a China propagandist. I bring this up saying so that we can look at ourselves and be like, what the hell are we doing wrong? Doge was supposed to put us on a track so we can cut wasteful spending, so we can start doing stuff like this. But that's been sock puppeted because Lockheed Martin, right? Lockheed Martin needs a payday. So we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things. Now I'm going to break everybody's brain here in the West. Cowboy, what country right now sends out the most Christian missionaries around the world?
Oh, that's got to be the U.S.
It has to be, right? I mean, for the longest time, we've been hearing that America is the land of Christianity, even though we see that's really waned. The churches are shrinking here, right? Churches are closing down left and right. The answer is China. China sends out more Christian missionaries than anywhere else in the entire world. There are tens of millions of Chinese that are what we would categorize as evangelical, born-again Christians, biblically based. And guess what? I've spoken to some of them. And guess what? They love their government. They pray for their government because their government does so much for the people. They're not perfect, but they do so much for their people. Unlike us over here. And again, I bring this up to contrast. Why can't we do this? We are the inventors of this type of system, right? But where's our beautiful, clean cities? Where's our magnificent subways? Where's our immaculate airports? Where's our millions lifted out from poverty and put into the middle class? Where? This is why they don't want you to see this. You see this because you've been brainwashed because of World War II boomer propaganda, Cold War propaganda. The Chi-Coms are evil. Because it's all about us, and we are the beacon for freedom and democracy.
And the Chi-Coms are making the frogs gay.
And that's the whole thing, because the Chi-Coms look, I read all the white papers. And the Chi-Coms are making the frogs gay. And we all know that the coronavirus came from China. And all the proof and all the footprints show it didn't come from China. It came from USAMRIID in Maryland. I went over this years ago when this crap happened. I'm the guy who told you 2 years before it even happened that in 2022 that they're going to do away with COVID. COVID's going to go away. In 2022, summer of 2022, you won't hear jack shit about COVID. It's going to be gone. And just as I predicted from my sources who told me this, it was over.
UNC Chapel Hill.
UNC Chapel Hill. They're the ones who did the gain of function. The original structure of whatever the hell this thing is came out from USAMRIID, which is the U.S. bioweapons facility in Maryland. That's where it came from.
I think we should move to China.
It's easier to do business.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's easier to do business. And I personally don't want to, because I'm still holding out hope for the U.S. Because the people are waking up here. And we should demand more. Which brings us to the next thing. The way we've been running our fraud. And people always ask, why is there always perpetual war and perpetual debt and perpetual cycles of boom and bust? Because of our banking system. Because we have a central banking system with fractional reserve currency and our world reserve currency, we decided to opt in and copy the worst business model on God's green earth, and that is the British model. The British model is absolutely horrible. It's impoverished Britain. And what is Britain today? Britain is a third world shithole. You could not pay me to go to London, my friend. I would never go to London.
Oh, I got a story for you.
Go ahead, man. Share it.
So I'll make it quick. We stayed in, I think it was Kensington, if I'm not mistaken. And it was at a decent hotel. It was the Best Western. And, there's like someone at the front desk and all that. And at 4:00 in the morning, and it's a long story why our room number got out there is because I ordered food wrong, right? So our actual room number got out there, and I get a knock on the door, 4 a.m. I'm jet lagged, so I'm kind of already awake, but I'm still half asleep. And I get a knock on the door. I can't see through the peephole, and I hear this like, "Without reception," and I'm like, "What? This reception? Can you open the door?" I'm like, what? What? He goes, "Can I come in, please?" And I got pissed. I'm like, "No, you may not come in." And I look through the peephole, and I see a guy pull his hand off the peephole and walk away down the hallway. And I watch him go out the front door and get into a Prius and drive away. What's this dude? This is in the middle of a nice area. Kensington's nice, like as compared to other areas. This is London. This is like a nice part of London. And some guy's going to try to break into our room in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. And you take a look at him. He did not have any good intent. And, long story short, that happened. And I got to see the surveillance footage. We talked to the Bobbies, and the Bobby was nice. He let me go back, and we talked about it. We looked at the footage and all that, but that's pretty much the end of the story. Like, this is supposed to be like a nice place, and you're having this kind of thing going on, What do you think?
No, that's exactly the point. It's got even substantially worse since the last time you've been there. There's no such thing as safe places anymore in the UK at all. There's no safe places. It's all bled into each other. Like, you live in New York City, you don't go to X amount, you don't go to X Street because X Street it's bad. That block is bad. You stay off that block. In the UK, it's not like that. Everything's bleeding into each other because it's a third world migrant shithole. That's what it is.
Oh, I got another one for you. 2 days after we were on London Bridge, we had gone to another city called Bybury, which is gorgeous because there's like nobody there. It's a 600-year-old city with like 150 people who live there. And in the paper, 2 days after we're on London Bridge, some guy was on the bridge with a bomb underneath his coat. And it was a fake bomb, but it was a bomb nonetheless. And he was fought off, and you can't make this up. He was fought off by a guy with a fire suppression deal. We call those things, the can spray, fire extinguisher. Yeah. And he and a chef with a decorative narwhal horn. And he was yes, that's real. And it happened. And it happened 2 days after we were just on London Bridge. So, that's right there, right by the freaking, by the Parliament building. I mean, you can't get away from it there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the deal, man. That's what's going on over there, and that's the model we're following. And until Trump came in and put a stop to a lot of what's occurring with his administration. His administration is far from perfect, but there are nationals. They care about the United States. They have a warped foreign policy view in terms of American foreign policy just sucks. We don't have statesmen anymore. We have idiots. We have idiots that run foreign policy in the United States, and we have a fifth column here with people who are dual citizenships who are allegiant to a certain country in the Middle East. So I'll leave it at that. So let's talk about China's art of war. Okay, and I'm going to crush, and this person who put this together, this post on X, is someone. She's done a great job. This is everything that I've learned throughout my 10 years of doing this, having my mindset and my worldview change because of doing commerce and business and getting to know people who are Westerners, folks, Westerners that live in China, that I cannot pay them any amount of sum of money to have them move back to New York or LA or Seattle or Texas or Florida. I can't pay them any sort of money to get back to Frankfurt, to go back to Switzerland, to do anything. And when they explain to me how things really are, that there's no such thing as social credit score, it's all bullshit, and I researched it myself and looked into it. In fact, I got to get Brian Berletic on. He's the New Atlas. Phenomenal job. Brian broke it down perfectly. He did a whole video on it. Brian Berletic, the New Atlas. If you want to look at what the hell a social credit score really is, just look at what Brian's worked on. He's extracted it perfectly. And guys like Gary Wilkerson, Larry Wilkinson, I'm sorry, the former CIA analyst, guys like so many other individuals, right? Douglas McGregor, all these guys. So here's how it breaks down. China's art of war, civilized warfare with Chinese characteristics. Thanks to the superstar China's reconnaissance ship, the A-15A. I'm sorry, the 815A. The 815A. Okay. This is going to show you, while all of us are screaming, they stole our technology. I remember when they banned Huawei, Cowboy. They're like, Huawei stole our technology. I'm like, wait a minute. Huawei's putting out things we don't even have on a. Yeah, Huawei's putting out stuff that hasn't even been scribbled in a barroom napkin in Silicon Valley.
Well, that's just because guys in Silicon Valley don't have the skills to scribble. It's not like they haven't invented it.
Right. They invented it in their dreams and their minds. They just forgot to put it on the barroom napkin. And or they forgot to write it and then take that napkin to their garage where they have their garage startups, Cowboy, because that's the thing, right? Jeff Bezos, dad's part of DARPA. I made this Amazon book delivery in my garage. Sure. Sergey Brin and Eric Schmidt over at Larry Page over at Google. Oh, we've discovered it. We did it in our garage. No, it's Incutel. It's all CIA front companies. Same thing with Facebook. Oh, I invented it in my garage. Oh. Oh, yeah. They stole it from
you. Got to do the Krusty the Clown exasperated. That's
pretty good. So anyway, what is up with this? I'm going to break down some technology. China's already won the war at China's doorsteps. It's not me saying it, it's the U.S. Defense Secretary. The statement that was made by U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in November 2024 interview on the Sean Ryan show, he said, quote, so if our whole power projection platform is aircraft carriers and the ability to project power that way strategically around the globe, and if 15 hypersonic missiles from China can take out 10 aircraft carriers in the first 20 minutes of a conflict, what does that look like? Quote, unquote, period. In reality, China doesn't need to fire a single shot. This is the truth. One Type 815A reconnaissance ship is enough to get the job done. Now, what the hell is the ship? We're going to get there. I'm going to show it to you. Have you ever found it strange that for over a decade, the United States has been bent on containing and crushing China? All rhetoric, which is designed, folks, to fatten the profits and the pockets of the military incompetent complex, right? Incompetent complex. How do I know they're incompetent? They're all run by shit generals who couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag and who are pegged by their boyfriends on the weekends. That's who the American military is. Fuck them. Thank you for your freedom. Thank you for my freedom. Fuck you.
Well, those napkins that they wrote the Silicon Valley plans on ended up with those generals on the weekend. So
that's what it is. The next generation weapon systems. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for your service. Fuck you for your service. You haven't. That's the whole shit that this boomer propaganda bullshit has been running around with Hollywood running around. Okay, it's got to end. I want American soldiers to be honest with me and telling me that you've been fighting for ExxonMobil. You've been fighting for BP and Shell. I want you to tell me you've been fighting for Raytheon. You've been fighting for corporate interests, man. For deep state interests. Don't tell me, you have the right to say that because, I fought for your freedom. Me and my friends. I saw my friends blow up. You're a dumb fuck for signing up, you idiot. Fuck you. Enough of this veneration of stupid people. Enough of it. So stupid.
I'll say about guys that join up, a lot of them. I don't have such a harsh view.
Tell them I want them to be honest and say, hey, I signed up because I need the money and I need to go to pay for college and this was the easy way out. Or I'm just like, I like adventure. I just wanted to go out and enjoy. Don't give me this bullshit that you fought to fight for freedom. What are you, fucking GI? Fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. GI Joe is there. No, stop that BS. Be honest with me. I'm supposed to thank you for your service. Make the hell out of here. You haven't done anything that is any sort of real importance to American freedom and liberties. You should be ashamed of yourself. You wasted your life, your time, your talent, and your treasure with this garbage. You should be ashamed of yourself that you were suckered by Hollyweird, by satanic pedophiles that you pay taxes to. You were suckered by them. There you go, brother. Sick unit. Breaking it down. I listen, give me direction in life. That's it. It's great for discipline. I know guys like yo who are pissed off what the military is doing. Like, this is stupid. But they're like, yo, man, I joined because I wanted to get to college. I needed the discipline, and now I'm better for it. I hate what's happening now.
Yeah, see, you know what? Regardless of why people went in, there's some guys that are going in for
correct,
fellas. What they think of it.
Go back up real quick.
Yeah,
this is important. The military, and here's my view before people blast me as some sort of anti-military person. I'm not. I hate the way the military has been used. I want them to be honest with me. If you're going to go fight for corporate interests, military incompetent complex, every U.S. president since Eisenhower, if you want to go fight for battle, just be honest with me. Tell me what you're really fighting for. You didn't start the global war on terror because you thought Saddam had weapons of mass distractions. You went there because you wanted the oil. There's no way you can, because why? Because our banking system requires it. Our financial system requires it. That's why we went to war. That's why you're sick. That's why your food sucks. That's why we can't even find good bread in this country. That's why everybody's medicated. That's why everybody's metabolically broken, because our banking system requires it. All wars are bankers' wars. Turning Japanese said it best. Smedley Butler. Great book. War's a Racket. Read it. Anybody who tries to fight against this has been wound up dead. All right, now getting back to this thing. Have you ever found it strange that over a decade the United States has been bent on containing and crushing China? Thousands of missiles surround China's coastline, military bases encircle it like a noose, and yet China's coastline and South China Seas has remained remarkably quiet. Not a single shot fired, not a major skirmish, just drills, flybys, and declarations. So what's really going on? The answer is uncomfortable for many. An intense, invisible ghost war has been raging beneath the surface, and China's already won it. I'll spell out the details for you. And I'm going to bring about this so you can see what we're talking about here. I'm going to bring about this ship, this amazing technology here, folks. Okay. It's amazing technology here. All right, Cowboy, you got to pull my thing in, man. All right, here we go.
With 4 massive radar domes perched on top, this ship is unmatched in its field. Known as the most advanced electronic surveillance vessel in the world, it's earned the nickname Sea Rogue from media. It doesn't carry missiles or guns, but its strategic value alone, especially in electronic warfare, is enough to make rivals nervous. The Type 815A electronic reconnaissance ship stretches 130 meters in length and displaces 6,600 tons when fully loaded. Its stealthy design and 4 signature radar domes give it a unique, futuristic look. Equipped with over-the-horizon phased array radar, it can detect targets more than 1,000 kilometers away, even picking up faint signals from stealth fighters. During the 2024 RIMPAC military drills, the sudden arrival of the 815A forced 29 participating navies into a tough choice. Either shut down radar and communications, rendering the exercise effectively blind and mute, or risk exposing sensitive electromagnetic signatures that that could become fatal vulnerabilities in future conflicts. In the end, many ships had to reroute. This moment of high-stakes electronic pressure shot the 815A to global fame, but its role goes beyond just gathering intel. It can act as a battlefield coordinator, transmitting real-time target data to China's rocket force, helping guide missiles like the DF-21D and DF-26 for precision strikes, essentially becoming a carrier killer without launching a single missile itself. The Type 815A isn't just rewriting the rules of naval combat, it's reshaping the global strategic landscape.
RIMPAC. I remember the RIMPAC exercise. I'm somebody who's a fan of military hardware and tactics and gear and all that other stuff. RIMPAC started, and all of a sudden we had to shut it down, and we said it was bad weather. Then a bunch of people on the internet went around and looked at the weather maps and the weather radar from the days that RIMPAC was doing its thing, and there was not a single cloud in the sky. They don't want to tell you that a carrier battle group, not just one, I think they had about 2 carrier battle groups participating in this exercise. They couldn't detect the ship until it was literally on top of them. It was literally on top of them. They're like, holy shit. It went past every sensor we had. And I remember when the Lianling, the China's next generation aircraft carrier, the one with electromagnetic catapults, and whose size is similar to the Gerald R. Ford and the Nimitz class carriers that we have. We were trying to track that thing, and all of a sudden it came out of port and disappeared, and we couldn't find it. This A-115 ship literally maxed an entire aircraft carrier battle group until it was literally 30 miles out from Guam. That's when we detected it. By then it was like too late.
Oh, are you scared now? You should read more about the tech specs on this thing.
Absolutely. SICK unit has an awesome quote right there. My former PO, that's huge. The USS Donald C. Cook, when that went dark, the C-24 flew over and said, if there was a pucker moment, it was that. Absolutely, man.
Well, they renamed that ship to the Donald Cook after that.
The Donald Cook, yeah. They call it Donald Cook, Donald Duck. China's in the eye of the sky, a new era of war without warning. High-resolution satellite reconnaissance and real-time data transmission. In 2024, a rocket rose from the plains of Changchun, roaring into the stratosphere. Its cargo, 12 satellites from the Jilin-1 constellation, small civilian on paper, but lethal in capability. Each one carries the world's most advanced commercially available optical payload, boasting a jaw-dropping resolution of 0.2 meters from 500 kilometers away. They can capture the outline of a U.S. B-2 stealth bomber. Not just the shape, but the tail number painted on its body. Not just the plane, but the exact tilt of a C-130 spinning propellers parked on the tarmac. And they don't just see. They also transmit. At full-length, high-definition film, the size of Avatar 2, delivered to Earth in a single second. Let that sink in, man. I don't know about you, Cowboy, but have you ever tried? Sometimes when I'm catching a flight, I want to download a movie before I get onto the plane. And it takes me several minutes, maybe 7 to 10 minutes, for me to download Avatar 2 or Avatar 1, a movie that's like 2.5, 3 hours. It takes a bit of a time. So to be ready for me that when I'm on the plane, I got to worry about the plane's shoddy, crappy Wi-Fi service. I can just sit there and watch a movie. But here it is, the size of Avatar 2 in a matter of a second. Think about that. That's the power of China's indigenous satellite-to-ground laser communication system. Transmitting 10 gigabytes per second. It bypasses electromagnetic interference, penetrates even 50 meters of seawater, and delivers real-time commands to submarines lurking below the ocean surface. Do you know how our subs get communication? We got a surface. We got
smoke signals.
Yeah, we evolved from that, but we have to surface, and we got to put enough to put one of our antennas up so we can communicate. This thing, 50 meters or 120 feet, right, underwater, and delivers real-time commands to submarines lurking below the surface. Now imagine this. A Dongfeng missile takes flight, which is a hypersonic. Satellite captures the exhaust plume and trajectory in real time. In that very moment, it transmits the data down to a ground control unit. The command center adjusts its flight path mid-course. Target locked, kill order confirmed. From discovery to destruction, it all happened in one fluid loop, faster than the enemy can react. We have no such counter or equivalent system in our arsenal. We don't. And Lucky Palmer over at Endural, his only thing that he's good at is jacking up his share prices and not actually putting out weapon systems that are any sort of remarkable. This isn't theory, it's already happening. In 2023, the Jilin-1 satellite tracked and filmed the loading of a B-52 strategic bomber on the U.S. airbase in Guam, not once, but 14 times. Every payload, every switch, every type of munition, captured frame by frame. The footage just didn't circulate inside the Chinese command centers. It was streamed to the world during a live U.S.-Japan military exercise in the South China Sea. And I remember when that occurred as well. Heads were rolling at the Pentagon. They couldn't figure out, holy shit, we're doing an exercise with the Japanese, and here they are. They're posting on social media, on Chinese social media, and even leaked out onto X, B-52s on Guam being loaded. The Pentagon panicked and issued a late-night press release insisting they had not entered Chinese territorial waters, but that China had already entered theirs. It was so terrifying that we were like, oh, it must have been drones. No, it was actually a satellite that was several miles in space. And still, this was just a level 1. That's just watching. Number 2, kinetic. Kinetic anti-satellite strike, silent but lethal, level 2 killing, hitting. Back in 2007, China's third-generation kinetic anti-satellite capable of reaching geostationary orbit at 36,000 kilometers was fully operational. This range included America's most precious military satellite, the GPS constellation. A single hit would shatter decades of infrastructure and leave no trace. No explosion, no shrapnel, just silence. The satellite fails seemingly on its own. The U.S. military now refers to the system as Space Assassin, a kill system that leaves no fingerprint. It gets worse. Unlike early designs, China's latest modules use zero-debris covert kill technology. It doesn't blow you up. It just turns off your lights. A malfunction, they'll say. But there's no coming back. It's warfare by silent, unobtrusive deletion, typically civilized warfare with Chinese characteristics. Still, satellites alone don't win wars. You need eyes on the sea, and that's where the A-15 comes in. The ghost ship, the A-15A, the 815A, and the sea-based information war in the recent 12-day war between Iran and Israel. China's reconnaissance ship, the A-15A, quietly entered the Persian Gulf. And I remember this too, folks. Some people on X says it was a shame that the U.S. would laissez-faire and do nothing about it. Please note that the 815A is an old friend of the U.S. aircraft carrier strike group in the South China Sea and near China's coast. It's been playing hide and seek with the U.S. Marines, and the U.S. could do nothing about it. June 2024, the U.S., Japan, Australia, and the Philippines staged a Grand Pacific War drill. The Nimitz-class aircraft carrier takes point. F-35 screamed off its deck. Aegis destroyers from a lethal web around it. It's muscle flexing with a massive mission. Show the Asia Pacific who's boss. Remember, this is our Obama's Asia pivot. Days later, satellite images revealed an uninvited guest shadowing the formation less than 50 nautical miles away. A sleek silhouette tucked just outside the fleet's blind spot. Zoom in. It's an A815A.
Obama pivoted the wrong way.
He did.
By the way, he pivoted where we were facing away from Asia.
Yeah, exactly. And his head between his legs, bent over, pants down. Not just observing, but fully embedded in the battle environment. Now, here's the chilling part. Not a single radar saw it coming. Let that sink in. The U.S. aircraft carrier battle group, folks, is supposed to be the most protected military asset on God's green earth. Sensors, radars, it's supposed to track everything. Didn't see this thing. U.S. Navy was operating blind. Its radar screens flickered into static, just like what happened to the Donald C. Cook. Its comms were scrambled, and by the time the public saw the photo, the warship crews were sweating. A vessel that size, not seen, not tracked, not intercepted, not asked to leave, it's there observing the military exercise ostensibly as an uninvited and invisible guest. There's only one explanation. The 815 electronic warfare suite is simply overpowering. It doesn't just collect signals, it distorts them. Its phased array radars, the HLQ-36, work across multiple frequency bands from shortwave to ultra-high wave frequency. Most terrifying, it doesn't just watch the enemy, it enters their minds. In 2017, the ship loitered off Alaska during U.S. missile interception tests. It didn't just record, it interfered. The U.S. Department of Defense later acknowledged, quote, it got too close and we couldn't stop it. Years later, during a declassified U.S. exercise, F-35 vanished from radar. Its comms dropped. Its onboard navigation drifted off course, and later analysis pointed to an 815A unit jamming and spoofing the signal chain, cutting the F-35 off, and I remember that, from this command link and the radar guidance. For all its stealth, it became a $100 million brick flying blind. And then came the punchline. In another test, a U.S. destroyer's internal comms channel began broadcasting Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf, a Chinese children's cartoon. It wasn't a glitch. It was a message. You're not just being watched. You're being hijacked. Your war capabilities are being nullified. In other words, our stuff is obsolete. That's what makes this ship so dangerous.
Could you imagine being on the crew when you start to hear that and like somebody translates it and they're like, oh, shit.
I will have my pooping pants on, bro.
Dude, the skipper must have been just like, yeah.
That's the whole thing. The U.S. Navy, man, when it gets into the South China Sea, it doesn't just enter contested waters. It sails into digital transparency. Every radar ping, every encrypted signal, every sonar pulse becomes a beacon. It enters electromagnetic spiderweb woven by China's space-based sensors, quantum secure networks, land, sea, air, EW platforms. There's no chance for a U.S. Navy to start a war to stay, let alone say win a war. For every mile closer to China's coastline, U.S. forces face exponential loss of concealment. At the same time, China's own strike networks grow more elusive, shielded by decoys, cloaks, and electromagnetic illusions. It's a war of mirrors. We cannot win. We have no equivalent. And now I'm going to get to the meat and potatoes of this whole entire thing. The whole meat and potatoes. And you got to understand how this is a country, a civilization that plays the long game. And here's the big thing. This is China's view of the United States. The number one country in the world that does not want to see the United States fail. What country is that, Cowboy?
Well, it's got to be Israel.
Oh, right. Israel, our greatest ally, doesn't want us to fail. Israel will burn us tomorrow to the ground if they had the choice.
Then England? They're our
UK will turn us gay and then be invaded by North African fundamentalist Islamists.
No, I know who it is. It's got to be Ukraine.
Ukraine will turn us into the cocaine and fentanyl capital of God's green. I think we already are the cocaine. I don't know. Maybe Ukraine will turn us into, I don't know what, another Ukraine.
Trafficking.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Organs.
We already are the biggest trafficking country. Organ trafficking. Yes. Maybe that.
Yeah, Ukraine is number 2 then, right?
Yeah. Okay. What country on God's green earth, with all its incredible military capability that far surpasses us, because they actually have scientists and engineers, we create fags.
Oh, this is a mythical country. No,
this must be a mythical country.
Military than us.
No. We're the best. You ever wonder why the Blue Angels don't use F-35s, Cowboy?
Because they fly like a U-Haul?
Yeah. You ever wonder why the Air Force Thunderbirds don't use F-35s?
Yeah, that's I have a buddy who worked on when it was called the JSF and we were still in college, and that was his comment. He goes, I think flies like a U-Haul.
It does. The number one country in the world that does not want to see the United States fail is China. And this is what I told you folks for years now. I've been saying this. And I got this line from Matthew Aird. He said it so perfectly.
The Joy-Cons.
I'm Alex Jones. Check out InfoWars. Israel. I'm not paid. I'm not a paid chill.
And his head
I
exploded.
don't work for Palantir in Israel. I really don't.
This next bit would make his head explode. He wouldn't even know what to say.
Yeah. The number one country in the world that does not want to see the United States fail is China. Let that sink in. China's already won the military war. It knows the United States has no chance against it and has no capability against it. Our nuclear weapons arsenal is 40 freaking years old. It's older than me. It's almost 50 years old. America's nuclear arsenal. The last strategic nuclear missile, intercontinental ballistic missile that we made was the Minuteman III, and that was in 1973, man. And one of my clients, whom many years ago, who was part of the nuclear triad during the Cold War, and then went on to work for the NRC as well as the Department of Energy, has always made it very straight with me. He goes, our nuclear arsenal is so poorly maintained, he doubts even 20% of it even works. So China, let's talk about the evil Chi-Coms and how they hate us. It's a quiet consensus in Washington, D.C. and Beijing, but both keep mum about it. The MSM isn't telling you. Uncle Sam isn't telling you. Beijing isn't telling you, but I'm telling you. The one country that doesn't want the U.S. empire to collapse instantly is China itself. Why? Because such a collapse would be catastrophic. China's economy is heavily dependent upon global trade, and the United States and Europe and other markets form the backbone of its exports ecosystem. A sudden implosion of the U.S. empire would unravel the global financial and economic system, triggering the domino effect of collapsing economies. That's number one. The U.S. dollar, artificially propped up by the U.S. military supremacy, would lose its status as the global reserve currency. Global investors currently view dollar-denominated assets as safe because of America's overwhelming military capability to enforce order or selective chaos. Destroy that confidence, and the dollar falls with it. If the USD is gone, the global trade is gone with it. But it gets worse. Without the U.S. acting as a global sheriff, many nations will shed their shackles imposed by the U.S. and will act with impunity, rearing their ugly heads of former empire ambitions. Can you imagine what Erdogan in Turkey, that turd in the hummus bowl, would do? Can you imagine? There won't be just one Israel, there'll be many. And that's the thing. We don't need the rise of more rabid nuclear-armed states who are absolutely crazy like Israel. We don't need any more rabid Israels running around. And that's what would happen. We would have one. We'd have many Israels popping up all over the world. China understands this. Our dumbass leaders don't. Nuclear proliferation will be uncontrollable. Genocide wars will erupt across regions. China, for all its growing power, is not yet in a position to control that kind of global chaos. The disappearance of the U.S. empire will create a dangerous vacuum. Geopolitics has no morality. It's not about good versus evil. It's about balance and long-term strategy for the greater good, for the greater number of people. Just as the collapse of the Soviet Union created headaches for the United States. Some of y'all might have forgotten that. I haven't. I was a kid when the Soviet Union collapsed. But I remember my relatives in Texas having to suffer because we almost lost Texas in the process of the Soviet Union collapsing because energy prices plummeted. That's why the Cold War never truly ended. Right? The collapse of America created dangerous geopolitical imbalance, and that's why the Cold War never truly ended. It was structurally necessary. The U.S. needs an enemy to function because our banking and our financial economic system is based upon it. Its military-industrial machine cannot stand alone without that, and therefore the banksters who make money off of the share prices of the wars and the looting thereof will collapse its entire system. And we, the plebeians who rely upon it, will also suffer. So in this looming multipolar world, danger is everywhere. Multipolar doesn't mean good and righteous. It probably means more chaos and instability. And if there's one country that wants the U.S. to stay alive, it's China. The decline of the U.S. empire is inevitable. But the greater good of humanity, hopefully, it will be a very slow decline spanning across a decade, a managed erosion of U.S. hegemony, not a crash, not a hard landing, a managed erosion of hegemony before something better takes its place. All regime changes require precaution, especially one involving the U.S. And there you have it, folks.
What if I told you that 2008 may have been engineered cooperatively between the US and China so that we could run it up and China could help us absorb the hit?
Yeah. It makes sense.
There's this very, it seems to me that, of course, nothing is simple, but obviously the US and China, they're the biggest trading partners, right? At least China is our biggest trading partner. And our consumerism has enabled them to do what they've done because they've made just a bunch of money off of us. And we're still the strongest consumer market in the world. So they're not going to want to kill that golden goose either, right? There is the financial aspect of it. But, we gave China, 30 years ago, a lot of tech that they have since developed and probably developed way beyond anything we've done. At least if you look at their military, that's how it seems.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past any country to stab another in the back. Don't get me wrong. Like, nothing is as simple as, oh, you did this for me 400 years ago. We're still buddies. Like,
no.
And I think it's more about what have you done for me lately? What can you do for me now? And at this point, it is a relationship of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And as long as that necessity endures, so shall the relationship. I think that what we need to do is what Trump is trying to, at least in part, have us do, is to continue to be that force in the world that allows things to remain stable. But as I talked about in the show on Tuesday, there is an article that I posted in Telegram, or in what do you call the thing? Discord. And it's by Ian Burlingame. And I'll go ahead and find it and I'll post it in the chat here when I'm done with this comment. But in the end, we need to retreat as an empire. It's not that we want to, it's that we have to. We don't have the technological capability or the manufacturing prowess to continue to do what we're doing around the world. And, industrialization, it comes and goes. We industrialized and then we gave it to China. Now they're starting to get to a point where they're going to start moving their industry, according to V, over to Africa, the new factory floor. So there is a bit of a cycle going on, right? But the U.S. empire is, I don't know. I mean, arguably, even though we didn't own the lands like England does or did, I'd say the biggest in history, if you want to just look at it from an economic standpoint. So that being the case, I think the party needs to continue. And I think what we got to do, if we're smart as a nation, if we care about our own people, is to do what we can to catch back up. And the decline, yeah, if it's managed and slow. I know managed decline is Davos speak. And the last thing I want to do is, talk like them. But it is what it is. And Davos doesn't get everything wrong. Their intentions are probably no good. But, I mean, we can't help it but retreat. But the retreat must be orderly. Otherwise, you end up with Biden getting us out of Afghanistan. Right? Now, there are theories behind that, but we're not going to go there. Long story short, man, what do you think, V? If you were to just give a prescription, right, based on what Trump is trying to do and what you think is best, how would it be best, do you think? Let's just say you have a wish list and you could get rid of the problem, or at least have, let's say, unlimited capabilities in a way. What would you do to have us retreat in a way that leaves us as powerful as we possibly could be in a multipolar sense? What would the plan be? At least some ideas of it.
Well, I think you have to start rapidly reindustrializing. That is the key. That's number one. And you have to start bleeding out your speculative economy, the fire economy side, which is finance, insurance, and real estate. Okay. That's the speculative economy. We need to start bleeding that out. And we need to start, as we bleed, to actually have physical jobs where people begin to work again. That's the only prescription forward. At the same time, you have to go after government waste. You have to go after these deep state apparatchiks. We need to start doging the hell out of so many sectors within our government in order to get this transformation going. The third thing is we need to start cutting deals. If we already don't have secret deals in place with the Chinese and with the Russians, we have to work with them. There are only 3 countries on God's green earth that matters. It's the United States, China, it's Russia. That's it. Fuck the EU, fuck the UK, fuck the Middle East, fuck everyone else.
Oh, I forgot to tell you how you really feel.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. I have some after points, but please continue.
But that's what we have to do, because America is a house on fire, and we need Russia and China. They're the water that can help put us out, and they're the ones that can help us. You think the fucking Europeans who can't, they have nothing. They have no technology. They have no infrastructure. They have nothing they could offer us. If we're going to transfer into an actual physical economy where we have a new currency in place that's backed up by the mineral and commodity wealth of this nation, then we need countries that have physical economies that are chugging along, that are going to endure this, that have the technical know-how, because they've been doing it longer than us at this point. And that's Russia and China. And we need them to help develop our infrastructure, our energy, our technology rapidly. And I don't know how you can do that. We have that's the problem. You have crazy states like Gavin Newsom running California who will resist things like this. And in New York, you have that idiot Hochul who's Nancy Pelosi 2.0. Nancy Pelosi, Timu. She's Timu Nancy Pelosi.
Bargain bin Pelosi.
Bargain bin Pelosi.
Dollar store Pelosi.
Dollar store Pelosi. In New York,
with a smidge of
people, you think those midwits are going to be on board with this? No, absolutely not.
We see that brings me to like kind of my next question, and I know we're working on it, but do you think we can get rid of the SOFONs?
If done correctly, yeah. But that's the hard part. And the SOFON here, and what Cowboy's referring to, folks, there's a wonderful sci-fi book by Zhizhen Liu called The Three-Body Problem. I recommend you read it. It's one of the best books I've ever read. Incredible. And what it is about an alien invasion where these alien species, their planet is dying out. They're living on a planet where it has 3 suns. They're dying out. They get a signal from Earth. They know that it's going to take them 450 years. If they travel at the speed of light, that it will take them 450 years for them to arrive on planet Earth in order to conquer it. So what they do is they send out these micro, tiny little supercomputer particles that are sent to Earth that begin to start interfering with Earth's scientific advancement. It suspends the very laws of physics in many regards and stops our science and development dead in its tracks. So by the time they show up for invasion, we have no way to stop them. That's what a SOFON is. And the United States dollar is the SOFON. America's finance economy is the SOFON. It is stopping everything else from developing. Why? Because everything is fucking financialized. Everything is financialized. And when you think about it. Our manufacturing industry or sector is a cottage industry to finance. And it shouldn't be that way. We've allowed a parasitic organism to grow up within us. And it's to the point that it's established its own blood supply using our blood. And in order for us to kill this damn thing, we might kill ourselves in the process. This is the tricky part. But it requires a physical economy and it requires purging. That's what needs to occur.
You see, I think that if we were to completely purge them, there's 2 problems with that. I think firstly, the biggest problem is that our economy is reliant on the grift. Yeah. So unfortunately, to completely eliminate the grift, our economy just falls apart. Our system falls apart. The way we govern everything falls apart because it's all grift. So, and I hate to say this, but I think there would have to be something calamitous to occur that would get Congress to vote for like no more lobbying, getting the money out of politics.
Yep.
You know, and let me say it this way. I'm not saying China's perfect at all. A different system to us, and we're supposed to have the better system, and yet, we don't. I mean, at least not by what is it? Judge them by the fruits of their labor. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that the verse?
Yeah.
So judge them by their fruits. Like, okay, we're supposed to have equality in this and that and the other, but just look what China's done. So the point here is that I think it's going to be a very slow and surgical excision. But if it takes too long, we're going to be screwed. Yep. Because it's going to fall. And if it falls too hard and too fast, then we got nothing to work with. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
So, it's all I can say is that if things go, I don't say like when the brown material hits the rotating object, I'm not going there. I'm not saying like, oh, well, everything is we're going to be trading pieces of metal for food. And, I'm not in that camp. I mean, it could happen. Anything can happen. But if it went that way, you better have some pieces of metal, right? So if things changed very quickly in a way that we were not quite ready for, then you better be ready for that. And the only way to be ready for that is to hustle, to get your money right, get some assets that are going to carry you through those times. Precious metals, storable food, all the stuff that the preppers talk about. Is even though you have a lot of like preppers in our community, and they're all kind of at this point like knee jerk against everything, and there is the preppers get a lot of things right. You always should be prepared. You should be ready for that stuff because it could happen not because of government, it could happen because of a solar flare. Right? I'm not saying it's necessarily the government, but if something calamitous occurs, you want to have that ready. And that way, if you can get through that period, then you have a chance. That's all I'm trying to say. So, I mean, we don't make investment advice here on the channel, but let's just say, V, you were a prepper. Let's say you were that type. What assets would you be interested in?
Food, gold. That's what I'd be interested in if I was a prepper.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Bullets.
Food, gold, water source, ammo.
Lead.
Yeah, like lead encased in copper, encased in brass.
Exactly.
That, and you know what? A good water source, if you got that. And if you don't, then good luck. But in the end, if you have that kind of stuff, then you can focus on everything else.
Yep.
And it's not all dark, we're just, when I say these things, it's about preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. Because once you've prepared for the worst, then you can just hang back and enjoy your life and move forward. Maybe you're not living in some high rise in the middle of your favorite city. Maybe you're living in a place that's a little farther out there. But if we can get through whatever comes, whether it's extreme or not, and as long as I don't know, V, let me ask you the final questions. I know we're over time here. Do you think that the people, like the administration, the people backing Trump, because Trump's taking orders, like he's not. I mean, all presidents have some latitude, but the what's going on with Trump right now is he's being told what to do in a big way. He's got a lot of backers, and that's why he's still alive. And so, as long as those people, do you think that those powers, based on who you talk to, who you do deals with, do you think those kind of powers are going to remain in power? Do you think there's a chance they could kind of get knocked out and Davos comes back and we end up with basically COVID over again? Or what do you think the chances are that we're going to make it through this?
I think got a 50-50 chance.
Well, I like it.
That's being very optimistic. I think we have a 50% chance of getting through this.
Where would you
in the next 2 years, major shit has to start happening.
Where would you go if you were to where would you set up if you left this country?
Where would I leave to?
That's right.
I'd head over to Asia. I'd head over to either UAE. I'd head over to Asia. I'd get over to Malaysia. I'd get over to Singapore. Hell, I can go to if I have to, I can go to. I got friends out in Hong Kong. I got I got friends out in Macau, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Chongqing. I got I wouldn't go to India. I wouldn't go to It would drive me insane. I wouldn't go any of those places. I'd go to Russia. Absolutely. I'd go to some Eastern European country. That's where I'd go.
The only issue I take with Eastern
Central
Europe
and South America is volatile. They're like a revolution away from losing it all.
That's a concern. The thing about Eastern Europe is they're also volatile, though. The Balkans are always powder keg.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen what's going on in Serbia right now, but the color revolution is in full swing.
It's there because of what's happening with the U.S.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think, man? We had a good show here. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, folks. We're at the end of the show. Thank you all for listening in. Check out our sponsor, ALGOfactory.tech. Learn to profit from the chaos as well as the prosperity. Good times and bad don't matter. You need, instead of getting a secondary gig running groceries for somebody else or dropping on food or getting an Uber gig, learn a trade. And you will be making money for life anywhere, anytime, in any market, any situation. ALGOfactory.tech. With that being said, Cowboy, take it away, man.